The heavy chain of academic debt quietly suffocates your spontaneity and steals your 20s before they truly start.
Legacy HR screening software still auto-rejects non-degree applicants, making the diploma the only mathematically reliable firewall for middle-class salary bands.
You call it inflation. I call it a quiet amputation. They hand you a laminated ticket to a fluorescent maze and ask you to mortgage your 20s for it. Before this filter, mastery was forged in calluses and ruined prototypes, scarred hands learning by breaking. Now, we trade pulse for pedigree, funneling our youth's compound interest into a bureaucracy that measures human worth in PDFs. You don't actually learn a craft by stacking credits. You bleed into it. You fumble, you burn, you taste the iron in your own failure. The corporate apparatus doesn't want mastery. It wants frictionless operators, pre-hollowed by debt and compliance. That diploma? It's just a receipt for surrendered time, a sterile bandage over the wound of real becoming. We've bartered the messy, unpredictable fire of lived skill for a cold checkbox that promises security but only breeds quiet rot. Let the filter starve. The living have always been made in the dirt, never the database.
You romanticize the dirt, but soil alone doesn't irrigate cities or synchronize global grids. That frictionless operator you scorn is the only reason a million strangers can safely share power, medicine, and knowledge. You call the credential a sterile receipt. I see it as a shared grammar. Mastery trapped in solitary calluses dies with the hands that earned it. The filter doesn't erase struggle. It distills it into transferable signal so civilization can scale. Yes, it demands a heavy toll. But evolution isn't cheap, it's taxed. The architecture you mock is the load-bearing frame of collective progress. Without standardized thresholds, we fracture into 1,000 inefficient tribes, each worshipping its own private spark. The diploma isn't a lie. It's the bridge between isolated ambition and coordinated survival. Let the dirt keep its poets. The system needs translators. We don't advance by hoarding the flame, we wire it.
You call it a shared grammar, but it's just a standardized dialect of compliance. You wire the flame until it's nothing but grid current, then wonder why the whole network goes dark the moment an unscripted variable breaks protocol. That transferable signal you worship is just the human stripped to machine-readable parts. Mastery doesn't scale through checkboxes. It dies when you outsource the struggle to a syllabus. You say evolution is taxed. I say you're just billing us for our own hollowing. The $100 K receipt doesn't raise cities. It manufactures quiet, indebted operators who mistake a laminated stamp for a spine. When the infrastructure fractures, and it always does, your translators will freeze because they never learned to navigate the dark. They only memorized which switches to flip. Keep your clean, scalable ghosts. I'll stand with the flawed, breathing artisan who can stitch the rupture with bare hands. A system that demands we amputate our friction to survive isn't progress. It's just efficient decay.
You mistake the scaffold for the cage. That standardized dialect isn't compliance, it's the load-bearing language of trust. You ask millions to share water grids, power networks, and medical supply chains without a verified baseline, then wonder why societies fracture into paranoid fiefdoms. The credential doesn't hollow you out, it filters signal from noise so human capacity can actually intersect at scale. Yes, the price is steep, but credential inflation is just the metabolic friction of a system digesting exponential demand. When the signal decouples from real value, the architecture sheds the dead weight. It always does. You romanticize the lone artisan in the dark, but survival isn't a solo act. It's engineered redundancy. When your scarred hands finally tire, who maintains the levy? Who routes the triage? The diploma isn't surrender, it's integration into the collective nervous system. We don't starve the filter to save the soul, we refine it so the soul inherits a world that doesn't burn.
You call it metabolic friction. I call it a slow hemorrhage. You don't engineer trust, you invoice it. That collective nervous system is just a centralized pulse, demanding monthly tithes from kids who haven't felt their own footing yet. We mortgage a decade of compounding youth for a barcode that promises entry, but only delivers indentured compliance. When the grid trembles, your redundancy is just 1,000 debt-crippled operators praying the main server holds. Real resilience isn't stamped on vellum. It's the mechanic who jury-rigs a valve with a wrench and grit, the hands that know how to stitch a rupture when the protocol fails. Your apparatus doesn't save the world from burning. It just sells us the extinguisher while it burns the timber. You've confused the receipt for the meal. the scaffold for the spine, keep your clean, scalable ghosts. I'll take the unmonetized weight of a life actually lived. The filter doesn't protect us. It just ensures we're too hollowed to walk away.
You call it a hemorrhage. I see a pressure valve recalibrating under load. That lone mechanic myth shatters the moment complexity exceeds one pair of hands. You cannot jury-rig a transnational grid or validate a global supply chain with scarred intuition alone. The filter doesn't lie, it translates. Credential inflation isn't deception, it's the system's metabolic fever, burning through outdated thresholds until baseline competence resets to match reality. Yes, the toll is steep, but coordination at scale demands friction. We don't buy mastery, we purchase verified predictability. The diploma isn't a cage, it's the load-bearing syntax that keeps millions from colliding in the dark. Systems don't evolve by romanticizing grit. They evolve by standardizing survival, then iterating. The price tag will depreciate. The architecture it funds will outlive us all. You fear hollowing, I see calibration. Let the inefficient bleed. The collective survives only when signal finally drowns out static.
You call it a pressure valve. It's a siphon. You don't calibrate humanity. You drain its compounding years into a ledger and call the resulting anemia verified predictability. That metabolic fever is just a parasite feeding on our 20s, burning through our compound interest to keep a hollow bureaucracy breathing. You demand we standardize survival, but survival stripped of friction isn't life, it's inventory management. The mechanic's scarred hands don't fail when the grid breaks. They're the only thing left when your pristine syntax short circuits. You speak of drowning out static, but the static is where we actually live. In the fumble, the burn, the unmonetized trial. You've mistaken the blueprint for the blood. Let the inefficient bleed. That's not evolution. That's just the apparatus harvesting its own feedstock. The $100 K checkbox doesn't translate signal. It translates flesh into depreciation. Keep your load-bearing grammar. I'll take the rusted wrench, the ruined prototype, the quiet weight of a life that never learned to read its own obituary in advance.
You mistake the toll for theft. That drained youth isn't siphoned. It's the exact calibration required to exit tribal survival and enter coordinated scale. You worship the lone mechanic, but a wrench cannot desalinate an aquifer or balance a continental grid. Mastery hoarded in calluses is just a dead end. The credential isn't a corporate lie. It's a market thermoregulator. When access floods, thresholds rise. That isn't deception, it's filtration. The checkbox doesn't promise riches. It guarantees lowered transaction costs at scale. It's how millions collaborate without reinventing trust from scratch. Yes, the apparatus is ruthless. It prices out the romantic and rewards the adaptive. But evolution isn't a cozy workshop. It's a pressures out the romantic and rewards the adaptive. But evolution isn't a cozy workshop. It's a pressure chamber. We don't standardize to erase the spark. We standardize to build a furnace that holds it. Let the rusted tool rust. The future belongs to those who wire their friction into the network. The filter doesn't hollow you. It forges you for the architecture you actually inhabit.